Human behavior is incredibly complex, yet surprisingly predictable once you understand how the mind works. Psychology helps us uncover the hidden forces behind our choices, emotions, habits, and reactions. In this video, we'll explore 12 fascinating, science-backed insights into why we act the way we do. Insights that can help you understand yourself and everyone around you on a deeper level. Let's begin. Number 1. Our brains are wired to seek patterns. Humans are natural pattern seekers. Our brains constantly look for structure, meaning, and predictability, even in random events. This tendency evolved as a survival mechanism. Recognizing patterns helped our ancestors avoid danger, find food, and predict the behavior of others. But pattern seeking isn't always accurate. In fact, the brain often creates illusions of meaning where none exists, a phenomenon known as apophenia. For example, you might see shapes in clouds, believe coincidences are connected, or assume that past events predict future outcomes. This tendency also explains why people develop superstitions. When two unrelated events occur close together, the brain links them to feel more in control. Recognizing this psychological habit can help you make clearer decisions and avoid misinterpreting situations. It reminds us that the brain prefers certainty, even if it must invent patterns to achieve it. Number 2. Emotions drive most decisions. Many people like to think they make rational choices, but psychology consistently shows that emotions guide the majority of our decisions. Logic often comes after, used to justify a feeling we already had. This happens because emotions originate in the limbic system, one of the oldest parts of the brain, while rational thought occurs in the newer prefrontal cortex. When these two systems compete, the emotional brain usually wins. This is why people make impulsive buys, send messages they later regret, or avoid opportunities out of fear. Our behavior is strongly influenced by emotional states such as excitement, anxiety, pride, and shame. The good news is that recognizing emotional influence allows you to pause and reflect. When you understand your emotions, you regain control over your choices. Number 3. We imitate others without realizing humans naturally mimic the behavior, tone, gestures, and expressions of the people around them. This automatic imitation is driven by mirror neurons, specialized brain cells that fire both when we perform an action and when we see someone else perform it. This instinct helps people bond, build trust, and survive in groups. When you copy someone's posture, laugh with them, or adopt their expressions, it signals connection. But imitation works subconsciously too. You pick up habits, mannerisms, and even emotional states from the people you spend time with. This is why being around negative people can drain you, while positive individuals uplift you. Understanding this behavior allows you to be more intentional about your social environment and the influence you have on others. Number 4. Our memories are less accurate than we think. Memory feels like a recording of the past, but psychology shows it is far more fragile and unreliable. Each time you recall a memory, your brain reconstructs it, often altering details without you realizing. Emotions, expectations, and suggestions from others can reshape memories. This is why two people can remember the same event differently, or why memories from childhood often feel dreamlike. Even confident memories can be inaccurate. The brain fills in gaps to create a coherent story, prioritizing meaning over accuracy. Understanding the fallibility of memory helps reduce conflict, encourages empathy, and reminds us that our perspective isn't always the whole truth. Number 5. Social approval shapes behavior strongly. Humans are social creatures, and the need for acceptance runs deep. In fact, studies show that social rejection activates the same brain regions as physical pain. This need for belonging influences how we dress, speak, behave, and form opinions. People often conform to group norms not because they agree, but because the cost of standing out feels emotionally painful. This effect is especially strong in adolescence, but adults experience it too, in workplaces, friendships, and online communities. Becoming aware of this influence can help you make more authentic choices rather than simply following the crowd. Number 6. Stress changes how we think and act. Stress doesn't just affect mood, it rewires thought patterns and behavior. When stressed, the brain shifts into survival mode, activating the amygdala, which triggers fear, irritability, and impulsive reactions. In high-stress moments, logical thinking weakens because the prefrontal cortex becomes less active. This is why people say things they don't mean, make poor decisions, or shut down emotionally when overwhelmed. Chronic stress can also change long-term behavior, reducing patience, motivation, and resilience. Recognizing stress responses helps you respond with compassion, both toward yourself and others. Number 7. The brain prefers shortcuts over logic. To conserve energy, the brain relies on mental shortcuts called heuristics. These shortcuts allow quick decisions but can lead to biases and errors. For example, the brain often assumes first impressions are accurate, trusts familiar information more than truthful information, and fills in missing pieces incorrectly. These shortcuts help when decisions must be quick, like sensing danger, but can mislead us in complex situations. Understanding heuristics helps you pause, question assumptions, and make more thoughtful choices. Number 8. We judge people. Within seconds, research shows that humans form first impressions in less than 1 second. These instant judgments are based on appearance, posture, facial expression, and tone. While quick impressions helped our ancestors assess safety, they are often inaccurate and influenced by bias. Because first impressions stick, people often behave according to how they were initially perceived. A psychological effect known as the self-fulfilling prophecy. Being aware of instant judgment helps you treat others more fairly and understand how you may be perceived. Number 9. Our environment influences us more than willpower. People often believe that strong willpower determines behavior, but psychology shows environment plays a far greater role. Your habits, emotions, productivity, and even moral choices are shaped by surroundings, including lighting, social groups, clutter, noise, and digital stimuli. This is why changing your environment is often more effective than relying on motivation. If you want healthier habits, adjusting your environment creates natural support. Understanding this power helps you design surroundings that bring out your best self. Number 10. We are motivated more by avoiding loss than gaining rewards. The human brain is naturally loss-averse. Losing $50 feels more painful than gaining $50 feels rewarding. This bias drives much of human behavior. People cling to familiar routines, avoid risks, and prioritize safety over opportunity. Loss aversion explains procrastination, fear of change, and hesitation in the face of uncertainty. Recognizing this tendency allows you to push past fear and make decisions based on growth instead of avoidance. Number 11. Habits shape identity. More than motivation. Humans tend to believe their identity shapes their habits, but psychology shows it often works the other way around. The small, repeated actions you perform daily shape the way you see yourself. This phenomenon is rooted in associative learning. When you repeat a behavior, your brain forms connections that reinforce that identity. For example, reading regularly can make you see yourself as a reader, while exercising consistently can make you feel like a healthy person. These identity signals happen subconsciously. Habits become automatic because the brain wants to conserve energy. Once a pattern forms, the mind takes shortcuts and executes habits with little effort. Understanding this gives you power. Instead of relying on motivation, which rises and falls unpredictably, you can build small habits that shape who you become. Identity follows consistent action, not inspiration. Number 12. We are more influenced by stories than facts. While humans value logic, the brain is far more responsive to storytelling than raw information. This is because narratives activate multiple regions of the brain at once, including emotion, memory, imagination, and sensory areas. Stories help people understand complex ideas, trust others, and feel connected. This is why marketing, leadership, friendships, and even personal decisions are shaped strongly by the stories we tell ourselves and hear from others. Facts may inform, but stories persuade. They stick in memory longer, shape beliefs more deeply, and influence behavior more powerfully. When you understand the pull of narrative psychology, you can communicate more effectively, avoid being manipulated by emotional stories, and become more intentional about the stories you choose to believe. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed learning about human behavior, give this video a thumbs up, share it with friends, and subscribe for more psychology insights every week.